Everything you desire is waiting for you to claim it. There's no creating involved, only invention through imagination and building through action. You are at the center of all your desires, dreams, and achievements. Welcome to Designing Your Life Today, the podcast that's all about your success, achieving your goals, building wealth through your business, and building your most passionate, powerful, magnificent life. Discover ways to use your purpose to connect you to serving others and living your dreams. I am Pat Council, and I know you are built by design to win. And it all begins with knowing how to tap into your success energy. Let's get on the path of discovery, decisive action, development, and unwavering dedication to your life's calling. It's time to embark on a transformative journey where your deepest passions become your most rewarding achievements. Embrace your power to shape your destiny, because this is your moment to do life with power. Hello, Power Up Nation. I'm Pat Council. And on Designing Your Life Today, I want to talk about how to allow yourself to thrive. This is the month of April, and so I have designated this All Out April. And this is a time when you remove the limitations and go all out to achieve your goals, to live your magnificent life, as well as continuing to build an even more magnificent life. But before we get into that, I just want to remind you that throughout this month, I will be sharing some of the different programs that you can use for your business, or if you don't have a business and you want to start one, some of the programs that you can use to actually improve your income, to bring in some revenue, programs that are not difficult to start, and you can use them at will and push them out there. And guess what? Earn some income. Also, as I said, this is All Out April. So throughout this month, I want to continue to share some things with you that will allow you to remove the limitations and to give you an idea of what going all out looks like, and to share some strategies and techniques that will get you going. All right, so let's talk about how to allow yourself to thrive. In order for you to go all out, you must first make up your mind that you're going to free yourself from limited ideas. You're going to free yourself from limited thinking. People are, not everybody, but a lot of people are afraid. They're afraid, they live in fear, and there's so much that we desire to bring into our lives. And so I can understand all of that, because I usually share some of the things or share from my perspective, if you will. Some of the things that I had to live through and overcome so that I can achieve my goals and get to where it is I desire to be. And when I'm not achieving, I have to recognize that, wait a minute, what's stopping me? And usually it's my thinking. And what's clouding my thoughts? And usually it's some kind of fear that allows me or causes me to hold back on my unlimited ideas. In other words, I get this big idea and then start to talk myself out of it and say, you know what? Let's kind of keep it low key, or let's kind of just go in the middle here. Well, that's why I wanted to talk about that, because I know what that feels like. I also know what happens when you think like that. When you think, if I could just make enough money, if I could just get over this little hump, I'll be okay. Well, the sad part about that is when you're just doing something, you're operating from a position of being lukewarm. And so it is so important that you get your thoughts together when it comes to that. And you make up your mind that, you know what, I am going all out. I'm not going to hold myself back. I'm going to learn what I need to learn, do what I need to do. And I'm not going to be afraid if I fall down for a minute. Okay. And I'm speaking metaphorically. I'm talking if you have what I call a temporary failure. And so you're not going to be afraid. You're just going to put it out there. You're not going to worry about what someone thinks of you, if someone laughs at you because you made a mistake. These things happen. We have to be a little tougher. We have to thicken our skin a little bit. So with that being said, let's get into how to allow yourself to thrive. The first thing is be deliberate about letting limited thinking go in order to expand your thinking and to expand your world. So when I talk about expanding your world, what I'm saying is instead of just doing what you've always done, living the way you've always lived, accepting someone else's ideology, accepting someone else's philosophy about life, or just accepting what someone says about who you are and where you should be. Instead of buying into all of that, I think it's important that you have a conversation with yourself and say, you know what, I'm just going to let go. And I'm going to not have limited thinking. This is how you become deliberate. Now, that's easier said than done, I have to confess. But here's the thing about that. The thing that helps us to overcome and get beyond some things is how we speak, what we say, the words that come out of our mouths. And we have to be careful with that. And sometimes you can be in a situation where people will ask you questions, and these are sometimes leading questions that will cause you to say things that speak against your own success, your own destiny, your own capabilities. When you're deliberate about letting go of limited thinking, letting go of the limited ideas or accepting the unlimited ideas, when you become deliberate about that, now you're going to be more in tune to what's going on around you. In other words, if someone's trying to guide your thinking, if someone's trying to give you leading questions and these kinds of things. So with that being said, what does it take to even get it started? I am still, and I think I always will be, a fan of affirmations. Why am I a fan of affirmations? Because the Bible tells us to call those things that be not as though they were. It also says that life and death, it's in the power of the tongue. So life or death is in the power of the tongue. And there are so many experts out there who seem to think that they know better than God. Well, I'm going to agree with God because it's worked for me in the past in terms of them saying, oh, affirmations don't work, instead of them acknowledging that they don't know how to work them. But we won't go down that road. I've shared that in other podcasts, and we might revisit it again in the future. Who knows? So with that being said, let's start with an affirmation. This is going to help you to be aware of how you're thinking, and it's going to help you kind of take control of what you're thinking. And this is an affirmation that I used to use. I keep everything. Well, not everything, but I have things like that are organized when it comes to kind of my path to any kind of goal achievement or success. And so one of the things, and of course, my journals. So I purposely looked for an affirmation that would lead to making people aware, or an affirmation that you guys could use that would help you become more aware of limited thinking, so you could start to think in an unlimited manner. With that being said, here's the affirmation, and you can open yourself up to the idea of unlimited thinking by using this affirmation. This is what I believe. So what I normally would say is, my life, and that includes health, wealth, and happiness, and relationships, cannot be limited. I am now freed from all limitation. I now move forward into my expanded good, divinely directed, and lavishly prospered. All things conform to the right thing for me now, quickly, and in peace. So it's a very short affirmation, but it's something that you can repeat. It inspires you. It opens your mind, and it's a feel-good affirmation. At least it was for me. Now, the reason why I say it was is because as things progress, sometimes I will get a different affirmation. And so this is one that I have used over the years periodically. But there was a time when I used it every single day. So with that being said, this is a great affirmation that you can use. So that's one of the ways that you open yourself up and allow yourself to thrive. So here's number two. Number two is when it comes to allowing yourself to thrive, you want to take the time to listen to intuitive ideas that come up into your mind. Remember, I shared the difference between the soul and the spirit, and that the spirit is where you keep your intuition and ideas. That's where the ideas come from. Your spirit is always going to take care of you if you let it. And so it's going to send you ideas to help you get unstuck from different things. Sometimes you'll get an idea to take a class. You'll get an idea to get a coach. You'll get an idea to read a book. You might get an idea to listen to something on YouTube, or listen to a podcast, or an audio podcast, or a podcast on YouTube. So it's so many different things. Or it just simply may give you an idea on a kind of project you should start, or that you could start. And you have to, even if you don't have the money, even if you don't know how you're going to make it work, and that's not your job to figure out the how. If it is coming from your spirit, God is going to give you the how. He's going to provide the how the same way he did for Moses. You know, Moses kept coming up with excuses when he talked to God when he was out in the desert, and God responded with every solution that he needed. So with that being said, you want to take the time to listen to intuitive ideas that come up into your mind. And as I said, the spirit houses ideas and intuition. So that's where you get your promptings from. And then it goes to your soul, which is your mind, will, and emotions. So when these all agree to work together, something amazing happens. You produce, well, like nobody's business. That's what I say. I like to say. So you produce things. So with that being said, let's go to number three. And then the third way that you can allow yourself to thrive is to accept the idea that there is nothing too great for you to accomplish. I can't tell you the number of people that often say, oh, I could never do that. And see, here's the thing. They can't, because they think they can't. But are they capable? Most likely. Now, we're all gifted in different ways. There are some people who will say, I could never dance like that. And they may be correct because it's not their calling. But could they dance? Anybody can learn to dance. Okay, so the thing about this is it's not about whether you could do it and do it for a living. It's about you not thinking about all the things that you can't do. It is about you embracing the idea that you are built by design to win, and that it's okay if you step out and challenge yourself a little bit. When it comes to going all out, no one goes all out by playing it safe. You have to step out and challenge yourself. And while this podcast is for people who want to grow personally, and for people who are aspiring to be entrepreneurs, they're already entrepreneurs, seasoned entrepreneurs, and they want to grow and go to that next level, I want to say this: if you're on a job and you haven't even started a business and you've never thought about it, I want you to question that way of being. In other words, are you supposed to be on that job and never ever start a business? Is there something that you've been holding back on? Now, if you're on a job and you're happy with that and you feel like you are where you're supposed to be in life, it's all good. But the point that I'm making is the key to going all out and the key to allowing yourself to thrive is to not hold back on you. Not hold back on who you were called to be. Step up and step out, okay? And don't worry about, failing. Don't worry about that kind of thing. People fail a lot of times because they put their attention on failing. People fail because their ego causes them to go into what I call protection mode, where they're so afraid of doing something different or something new until they live not just a mediocre life, but they live a less than mediocre life. So what's less than mediocre? Less than mediocre is living a life where you're not happy, living a life where you're always wishing, living a life where you're hoping someone will come and rescue you. I did a podcast on that as well, that no one's coming to rescue you. Most people look to the politicians and they look to the president. And then when it doesn't work out, then they bash the president or they bash that politician. So let me get this straight. You're an adult making another adult responsible for your life. Now, it's one thing if those adults were irresponsible and they interrupted your life with things that by being negligent. That's one thing. Okay. That's one thing. But it's another thing to just automatically think that because you cast a vote, they're going to save your life. It is your life. You know what's funny? And then we're going to move on to number 4. Actually, I have a few more things to say under number 3, and then we're going to go to number 4 as to how you can allow yourself to thrive. The funny thing about people who want someone else to save their life, protect their life, and I get the concept of protection. Okay, men are supposed to be the providers and protectors, but that's another story. But the point that I'm making is when they vote, they think these politicians are supposed to step in and play husband, father, God, all of the above, until they're asked to do something they don't want to do. All of a sudden it becomes, it's my body, it's my life, I have the right. Now, I'm not going to get on that soapbox, and there's no judgment there. I'm just using that as an example as to how we pick and choose. So if you're going to pick and choose, then you know what? Choose to be the ultimate adult. And the ultimate adult is the one that goes all out and say, you know what? Yeah, it is my life. And while we say it's our body, actually it's on loan. And then they talk about that. And then Paul talks about that in the New Testament where he says your body is not your own. But we're not going to get into that today either. Okay. This is the beginning of the month, and we are going to align ourselves with the idea of going all out. And then we're going to accept that idea, right? Yes, I can hear you saying yes. So with that being said, let's get back on track. So take control of you by accepting these great ideas that come into your mind. I mean, let me ask you right now, let's be honest. How many of you have had these great ideas and say, you know what, if I did this and this, it would be great? Or you look out and you say, oh man, you know what? This is what we need in our world today, or people need more of this, or this would make things better. And you have these great ideas and then you shut it down and you go back to doing something that you're not excited about. I mean, be honest. And this is why I'm talking about going all out. This is the time. The time is now for us to go all out. So with that being said, back to number 3, which is accept the idea that there's nothing too great for you to accomplish. When you do that, this allows you to follow your intuitive leads, all the things that come from your intuition. Your intuition will do more for you than any human being can. Okay, it's going to guide you. It's there to help you. Okay, so think about that. And finally, the other thing is don't suppress those ideas. Act on them. All right. So number 4, this is the 4th one, and we're going to wrap up on this one. Practice quietness and meditation. I hear a lot of people saying, you know what? I can't meditate. And then there's some people who think that they should not meditate. Well, in my mind, Jesus meditated. If it was good enough for Jesus, it's good enough for me. So you get to decide, of course. Now, practice quietness. And I put quietness and meditation. These are not the same things. Sometimes it is important to be quiet. Sometimes it's important to surround yourself with quiet. We live in a very noisy society. Okay. And because we now have cell phones and all this other technology, it's pure noise coming at us. And there's something that's coming at us constantly, but you can shut that down. That's the beautiful part about all of these gadgets. You can shut them off. That includes the television. You can turn these things off. And I've shared this more than once. I mean, I like TV. There's certain shows I absolutely love, but you know what? I have to tell myself, shut it off. Shut it off. It's time to be quiet. So practice that quietness, because in the quiet, that's where you not only can you hear yourself think, but you can hear the thoughts that are coming to you, and you can hear what your intuition is saying to you and how it's trying to guide you. When we're always busy, and I've been in that mode. Okay. And sometimes I get into that where, I feel like I have to do so much and I have to keep doing things. Okay. And that means I can't actually hear what I'm supposed to be doing, or I can't hear the best thing to do. Okay. And that, in other words, it's just, I'm not in receiving mode. I'm constantly output. And we have to do both, you guys. We have to receive and we have to do an output. We have to put things out there. So in order for you to act on the right things, so you are putting out the right things, you have to hear what the right things really are. And while people may like to watch YouTube, they may like to watch some of the other social media channels, and they may like to watch Rumble and all of those. They might like to watch videos on these various channels. The truth of the matter is, while there's nothing wrong with that, if you never, ever be still, if you never, ever have quiet, you cannot hear what your intuition is saying to you. You cannot fully receive and develop these amazing ideas that you're waiting for. You cannot fully embrace you and feel the essence of who God designed you to be. How do I know that? Because the Bible says, be still and know that I am God. So we have to be still, be quiet. One of the best things, and no kid wanted this when I was growing up, and they probably still don't want it, is quiet time. In kindergarten and first grade, especially kindergarten, there was always quiet time, nap time. Took a little nap and then they'd wake you up and that kind of thing. But getting us to take a nap, that was the hard part because we didn't want to be quiet. So as adults, it's still the same. We don't like to be quiet. So with that being said, you want to practice quietness and meditation. This is how you hear your intuition. It is your genius power for success. So if you're not achieving your goals, if you're constantly nervous, if you're constantly fearful, learn to be still. This is something I have to remind myself of. And perhaps, as I talked about yesterday on yesterday's podcast, we'll go deeper into that. And where I'm explaining a little bit more why I'm saying things like that. In other words, you have to take control of your destiny. It doesn't matter what you've been through in your life. I want to say we've all been through something and different levels of, let's say, stress or trauma. And I think we've all been through something. But the point that I'm getting to here, it doesn't matter what you've been through. At some point, you have to make a decision that I am going to allow myself to thrive. It's why you're here. And when you're thriving, other people around you begin to thrive. Other people around you get excited about life. Other people want to be connected to you. So with that being said, you guys, I just want to remind you, I said I was going to raise the price of my latest course, Identity Powered Goal Setting. And I am going to raise the price, but because of February, my birth month, I decided, okay, let's just leave it. Okay, that was my gift to you guys. And then March, there was spring cleaning, and I kept talking about identity. So I let it ride again. But I can tell you the price is going to go up by April 15th on the goal setting. And I would encourage you to take a look at that course. I promise you, you'll love the price, number one, but number two, you'll also love what it offers you. It is very difficult for you to allow yourself to thrive if you're not even willing to understand who you are, why you're here, or to even embrace the right identity so that you can thrive. So with that being said, you can check it out. It's in the show notes. The link is in the show notes. Or you could just go to designingyourlifetoday.com and it's right there on the homepage. You can click on that link and you can find out more about it. It will take you to my Designing Your Life Achievers Academy. So, you guys, I want you to have a magnificent day. This is all out April. Make that commitment. Get your goals in place. We talked about it yesterday about recommitting to your goals. If you missed that podcast, I will put that in the show notes as well. You can listen to it again, and then you can say, I am ready to go all out in April. Stay tuned. We've got so much more coming for you this month. In the meantime, do life with power, knowing that you are built by design to win.